Is it possible for a woman to not compromise on her happiness and live a life of dignity without regret? I decided to find out. Hi, my name is Divya Abirami and this is my story. Why are all the women around me unhappy? One day, I invited my mom. Amma, come play with me. My mom couldn't hear me. She was busy talking to my grandmother. I overheard her say in a frustrated tone, if only I never got married and took charge of my own life, I wouldn't be going through all these hardships in life. I shouldn't have listened to all of you. I felt the pain of regret in her voice. Even as a 6-year old, I was well aware of the problems that my family faced. I would observe what are others talking about. I noticed that every woman around me, including my mother, grandmothers, aunts, and neighbors, was unhappy about their life. Their faces weren't filled with joy and laughter like me. The topics of their discussion would be how the men in their lives have ruined their happiness, apart from other usual topics like what to cook for dinner today. But I never understood why they were putting up with this struggle. I wanted to do something to cheer them up. I would go sit with my mom or my grandmother or my neighbors and I would carefully listen to their complaints. I would tell them positive things to cheer them up. I soon earned the reputation of being an empathetic child. But I wanted to know why they were all tolerating abuse and disrespect from their husbands, children, and their families. I decided to dig deeper into this matter and understand why women hesitate to say no to abuse in the family. I sat with my neighbor auntie one day. I asked her, Uncle beats you almost every day. Why are you not beating him back? She said, he's the one taking care of the family. I have no money on me, so I cannot beat him back. So I have to tolerate. I asked her, so if you have money, what will you do? To that, she replied, I would have left the house and lived with my children alone happily. So not having money is the problem here, I thought to myself. I never told her. But my mom has money. She was a teacher and she is earning money to sustain the family. But why isn't she leaving the house? I asked her this one day. She said, you are right. It won't take me a few minutes to make this decision to leave the house, but I am here only for you. If not for you, I would left the house and lived by myself in a hostel or something. I replied to her, Amma, I can take care of myself. Why don't you get out and be happy? To that, she replied, no, I cannot leave you just like that and go. I said, then okay, take me along with you and let's go somewhere together. I thought she would be happy to hear this from me. But she said, go sit and study something. Don't get into the matters of adults. She changed the topic of the discussion. Hmm, so money is not the only problem here. There's something more to it. I decided to dig deeper into this issue and once asked my grandmother this question. Why can't women just leave their marriage even if she's not happy? She replied, no, we can't do that. A woman cannot live alone in this world without a husband because any man can attack her and snatch her reputation away. Only a husband can protect her reputation. What do you mean by reputation and why will a man take that away? I asked her. Go play. You don't need to know all this at this age. She chased me away. I understood that not having money is not the only problem that stops women from choosing the life they want to live, but some fear of losing their reputation. It was unsettling for me to know that it was just the fear of living alone and lack of knowledge on how to protect their reputation that made these women tolerate a lot of abuse and disrespect. They were okay to remain unhappy for the rest of their lives. Why was I unhappy? I was 5 years old when my great grandfather behaved inappropriately with me. He made me touch his private parts a few times when no one was around. He was more than 88 years old then. Whenever he would ask me to touch him, I would be filled with fear and panic. I knew something was wrong about this interaction, but I didn't know why. Informing my parents about this did not feel like the right thing to do. Just when I was getting over this, at the age of 10, I was groped by a neighbor. He made me sit on his lap and started touching me inappropriately. I pushed him away and ran out of the house for my safety. I was traumatized by these incidents and never shared them with anyone for several years. When I was 13, I was groped again by a co passenger on the bus while I was going to school. These incidents left unexplainable guilt in my young mind and left me questioning it for several nights. Why did this happen to me? Why did that man behave that way with me? I never dared to share it with my family. If I shared, there could be only one thing that can happen. I can no longer travel by bus. I wanted to keep enjoying that little freedom and not being escorted to school every day. When I hit puberty, my freedom came into question. I had no say in choosing my clothes. My clothes and how I looked went through serious scrutiny before I left home. I remember crying in frustration several times in trial rooms in stores, being forced to try on clothes I never liked. I was not allowed to visit friends' home or bring them to my house. I was not allowed to let my hair free or wear kajal either. I was not even allowed to play with my father or my uncle. With all the restrictions put on me, I forgot how to have fun. I became unhappy just like every other woman around me. I asked my mom one day, "Why are you torturing me to wear baggy clothes like this? I don't like them. I want to wear what I want to wear and be happy." She said, "You have grown up now. You can't be a kid any longer because men will treat you like a grown up woman. They may behave badly with you if you dress inappropriately. If something like that happens, then we will lose our name in society." Inappropriately means what? Like what? What will they do to me? What will the society do? I asked my mom in anticipation of getting some answers about the abusive interactions I had with men already. I was full of questions about why men behaved that way towards me. "Don't ask so many things. Do what we ask you to do." She shunned me away. Not having information about what happened to me frustrated me the most than being unhappy about the restrictions thrown at me. I felt powerless, but I would dream of growing up powerful and independent. I wanted to beat the shit out of those guys who abused me, except my great grandfather because he died long ago. I chose to study about society and its issues. After I finished school, I decided to pursue sociology as my graduation subject, against my dad's wish to study engineering. He already had a vision for me which followed a linear pattern most engineering students of that time fell into. His vision was to put me in an engineering college and get me married once I got placed on campus. Very simple. My parents didn't know better either. That's what they were fed into. They felt safe following the pattern which was approved by the society. But for me, that felt like a trap. I had different plans. I desired to study about society. Why is everyone concerned about this society's opinion? What is it even made of? Who is this society? I wanted to know all the answers. So I was drawn to the subject. Doing sociology was the best thing that happened to me in a long time. In college, one of the topics we had to study was child sexual abuse. When our lecturers discussed this topic, many of my classmates shared their stories of abuse. That was the first time I heard someone else other than me had gone through it. I felt relieved and assured that I was not the only one here. I grew passionate about understanding sexual abuse. I read a lot and discussed a lot with friends and professors. I even presented at an international conference on the same topic. Out of several who applied for the presentation, only two papers were finalized from my college. One paper belonged to the topper of my class, and the other was mine. I wanted to educate the world about sexual abuse and empower parents and caretakers to handle such abuse. I was filled with enthusiasm and confidence when I presented my paper in front of several dignitaries. I earned a special appreciation from them as well. Nothing has ever got me this excited as much as talking about child sexual abuse. The more I became aware of this issue, the more I started to observe how sexual abuse happens to people around me, like my co passengers on the bus or trains. Several times I have observed young girls being groped on the bus, and I would do something innovative to help them out immediately. For example, one day I was seated on the bus on the ladies' side and a schoolgirl was standing beside me. There was a man behind her trying to fall on her and hit her from behind. I saw this girl struggling in discomfort and complaining to her friend who was standing next to her. But both of them were frozen and didn't know how to get out of the situation. The bus was crowded, but that guy definitely could make a space between himself and the girl. I looked at the girl and asked her, "Are you feeling uncomfortable that the guy is falling on you?" She said, "Yes, Akka, he's been doing this for a while." I looked at that guy and said to him with a stern and strong voice, "Please stand a little away from the girls. They are feeling uncomfortable." Initially, he was cribbing about how the bus was crowded, but he never came close to the girls again. The girls thanked me for rescuing her from this awkward situation. I had a similar experience at the age of 13, which I already mentioned previously, where a guy groped me in the bus. I was only studying 8th class then. I was exactly struggling like these girls. I looked up to the women who were standing next to me for help, but none of them were aware enough to see that the guy's hand was up my skirt. I ran down from the bus in panic when it stopped momentarily in the traffic. But I fell from the bus into a puddle of rainwater and went to school that day crying in panic and embarrassment. That day, when I helped those girls, I felt some kind of joy that filled me with energy. But I didn't know how to sustainably help girls enjoy their freedom without having to experience these harassment. I did not have a clear purpose in life to work on. I distracted myself by getting into relationships. Lessons from romantic relationships. Not having a clear purpose in life led me to be entertained by relationships. But all the relationships ended terribly. I got into relationships for all the wrong reasons. I found men who will help me overcome loneliness, protect me from unnecessary male attention, and validate my self worth. But the men who were interested in me were interested for different reasons, mainly sex. I didn't know how different men and women are wired, so that led to a lot of tension in relationships, and eventually those tensions turned into abuse. Starting from emotional abuse, it eventually led to physical abuse. I tolerated all of them just to save the relationship because I was afraid to be alone. I was afraid to be alone in an unsafe world, and I didn't know what else I could do just by myself without a guy in the world. That is when I truly understood why women like my mother, grandmothers, aunts, and neighbors hesitated so much to exit their marriage despite the abuse. As women, we are conditioned to be afraid to live alone. We don't know how to take care of our safety. We don't know what to do with our lives and how to dedicate our time to a bigger purpose without a man to validate our worth. I realize that I'm exactly in the same miserable place where most women are conditioned to be. But I was deeply unhappy being there. I was determined to make a better future for myself somehow. I refused to give up, saying, "It is all fate. like how other women around me gave up. Guru arrives when the student is ready. I moved to Bangalore for higher studies in 2014. I chose to do a master's in development from Azim Premji University. This was my first time living outside of my home in a hostel. Also, it was my first time studying in a co ed college. Meeting people from different ethnic backgrounds opened my ideas about the world. I had so many conversations with several men and women about life, love, heartbreaks, spirituality, and purpose. Our university hired the best minds in the country as professors. Our professors came from universities like Yale, Brown, Oxford, Harvard, etc. I had a lot of mind blowing conversations with my professors about various social issues. But none of them were able to answer simple questions about life, love, spirituality, and purpose. I wanted to know how to be not sad in life, how to be motivated to do things, how to protect myself, how to overcome fears, how to earn respect in relationships, how to be independent without being dependent on others. I was actively looking for answers about the reality of life. That's when I was introduced to my guru, Guru Pashupati, by a close friend who attended his TEDx talk on women's safety. I watched the TEDx talk on YouTube and my mind was blown. In just an hour of his talk, I got so many epiphanies. I wanted to learn from this person. I contacted my guru over Facebook and immediately we connected, and he took me as a student since then. He taught me so much about life that I hadn't learned anything like that before. He had answers about everything I wanted to know. I started learning everything he offered. He taught me yoga and martial arts. I started learning both. With his help, I overcame all confusions about relationships. I broke up from toxic relationships and decided to work on my dreams. Failed childhood dream. I was only 4 years old when my grandmother seeded the idea in me to become an IAS officer. She spoke of their power to aid millions in overcoming their suffering. She said there is no bigger virtue than helping suffering people. I nurtured the dream my grandmother seeded in me and I started preparing for the civil services exam, also known as the UPSC exam, in 2016. While I was 2 years into the preparation in 2018, my guru offered me a position as a self defense trainer to work in his program called She Said No. I learned how to teach young kids to defend themselves and started training them. I used to go to various government schools in Tamil Nadu and teach a lot of kids. Our team and I taught more than 20,000 kids in 2 years. We taught these kids how to say no, how to be aware in any situation, and how to fight someone taller and stronger than themselves. Teaching those young kids gave me a lot of fulfillment and joy. But I thought if I can be in a more powerful place, I can impact a lot more children. So I continued to prepare for the exams till 2020. I gave my best for 4 years for the exam preparation, but I continuously failed. I got depressed and wanted to end my life. I was suicidal. I was extremely sad for the reason that I thought I'd never be able to help millions of people. I was afraid I'd never make it big in life. I was afraid I would never achieve anything worthwhile in life. But I couldn't give up on me. I wanted to give myself another chance at life. So I got in touch with my guru again and visited him in his residence in Pondicherry on his invitation. I also stayed with him for a few weeks to heal myself. He asked me to wake up early every day and practice Kalim, an ancient Himalayan martial art, with him. Practicing martial arts with my guru brought me out of depression and gave me new hope. A new hope. During the time I spent with my guru at his residence, I contemplated a lot about a lot of things. I've never seen my guru afraid of anything. I've never seen him complain about any problems in life. He would always do something or the other to solve the problems. He was teaching hundreds of students, and never once I've seen him tired. He was full of life and cheerfulness. I was nowhere near the energy and enthusiasm about life that he had, but I wanted to be fearless and joyful just like him. I asked him once, Guruji, how to be happy? He replied, if you want to be happy in life, you need to stand up to some injustice in the world and help people get out of their suffering. You need to give them a lot of value that will end their suffering. He added, I am committed to making humanity strong, healthy, and happy again. Every time I see someone I helped getting stronger and happier, it makes me happy. That is when I realized that never I have thought about creating value for others as a means of my happiness. He opened an opportunity for me to work with him as a part of his team to accomplish his mission. I jumped at the opportunity and decided to quit the UPSC preparation. Unwelcomed decision. But like every woman in our country, I came under a lot of pressure to get married. Growing up, I saw so many flaws in marriages. I've seen my mother, grandmothers, aunts, and neighbors become unhappy in their lives due to their marriage. I did not want to go down that lane. I remembered the lesson my guru taught me. If you don't make your decisions, someone else will. Someone else making my decision was the last thing I wanted in my life. I declared boldly to my family that I was not getting married. It wasn't received well by my family initially. The lessons I learned in martial arts on how to keep calm and how not to lose energy in violent situations helped me stand my ground strong no matter what. Also, my martial arts lessons helped me become good at communicating with my parents without hurting their feelings. And in a year, they were quite convinced that marriage was my personal choice and they stopped pressurizing me. My life became peaceful. I was able to focus on my work. Our team was able to impact thousands of lives. When I was able to achieve peace in life, I realized that the martial arts lessons I received from my guru helped me get out of the trap. It was clear to me that the martial arts that was taught to me goes deeper than just physical safety. New revelation. Standing up for yourself and becoming who you want to be is no joke or a pep talk. It takes real courage to decide who you want to be and real skills to become that person. Whenever I would tell my friends that I'm never getting married, they would say mockingly, don't be so sure. I've seen so many people say this, but they all get married sooner or later. Your time is also coming. When I would hear such things 2 or 3 years back, I would get pissed off at them because of the discouraging words they said. I never understood why can't they just encourage a friend to stay single? But now, when I look back at it, I see the reason why many women who decided to stay single once gave up on their decision and went back to get married. And the women who didn't want to stay in their marriage were afraid to get out of it. Fear of being abandoned by family, fear of being lonely, fear of making new relationships, fear of being unsafe in the world, and overall figuring out life the new unfamiliar way are all that stops women from taking their life in their hands. I had my share of fears as well. But as I got skilled at earning my living, creating new bonds, and capable of taking care of my safety, all my fears vanished. We have been told only a man can protect us, and we are not capable of protecting ourselves. I realized we are never expected to excel in skills other than studies, cooking, taking care of the house, etc. We are never expected to excel in making money, living independently, creating a community, being a leader, being a martial artist, or being an entrepreneur. It has so become that the ultimate aim of a woman's existence is to get married and have children. And I realized that for a woman to enjoy her full freedom and live life on her terms, she needs life skills. She needs to know how to say no to any situation that she doesn't want for herself. For that, she needs to have a sharp intellect, financial abundance, knowledge of how to protect her safety, and a community to rely upon. I learned that if women don't protect their boundaries, they will be violated by everyone around them. And to protect boundaries, one needs not just courage to speak up, but also physical prowess to enforce the consequences of violating boundaries. But no one has educated us on all these important life skills. We are left alone by society to figure it out ourselves. We did not get the crucial education we needed. That is the injustice I want to stand up against. If every woman knew how to fight back, knew that she had a community to rely upon, and knew how to protect her flow of income for herself, then she would have nothing to be afraid of. She wouldn't be afraid to say no to anything she doesn't want for herself. That is the education I want to provide for women through the martial arts training. Martial arts or self defense is not just about defending your physical safety, but building inner resilience and courage. Especially Kalim, an ancient Himalayan martial art that originated from a woman. When our team started teaching Kalim to our women students, something beautiful began to happen. All the women who learned from us started finding their strength. They drew boundaries in their relationships with other people. They protected their safety without having to be dependent on others. They expanded their impact on the world. Because of this, they were able to pursue their dreams without anyone telling them what to do and what not to do. Some women moved to foreign countries for work, some stood up against their bullies, some got divorced from abusive marriages, some said no to childbearing, some said no to marriage itself, and some stood up to abusive interactions at the workplace and handled office politics with courage and confidence. And some decided to make their marriages work even in their late 50s. Ever since I started teaching self defense, I have been able to impact millions of people. I earned the respect and love of thousands of people who learned from me. Feeling lonely was out of the equation as I was able to connect with the community of warrior women at a deeper level. The support we showed each other was priceless. Now, my team and I are on a mission to make millions of women powerful again. I stand for the encouragement and knowledge women need to create a better and safer future for themselves. I'm here to inspire and show you the path to a happy, resourceful life filled with respect, care, and purpose. But being courageous is not for the weak hearted. I remember once my guru told me, "You can be a coward or a lioness, never both." I needed to make a choice that day to be a coward and live a life in cowardice, poverty, disrespect, control by others, and illness, or be a lioness and walk head high on the earth powerful. If you are listening so far, then I know that you are hungry for transformation in your life. You are hungry to end cowardice and embrace courage. All transformation begins with choosing who you want to be. Choose for yourself. What story do you want to tell about yourself to the world? Do you want the world to remember you as a victim who suffered at the hands of others' decision, or as a courageous lioness who inspired millions? Decide now. Thank you for listening to me so far. If you resonate with my story, please leave a comment or contact me and share your thoughts. I'll be very happy to listen from you.